Hello, Facebook. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we are going to dive into one of my client interview series with Jordan. Hopefully she's able to make it on the live video. Sometimes technology does not work in our favor, so as soon as I see that come through, I'll put her on and we can get started. Once you join, just let me know in the comments that you're here. That way I know and I can say hello. Jordan on now. I know that we have a couple followers already. Karen is on. Hello, good morning. Awesome. Jordan has made it, everyone. She is here. Okay, so we do have quite a few people joining us already. If you would like to just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about you and where you were when you reached out to me.
Okay, so my name's Jordan. I'm 27. I live in Michigan, but I actually went to high school with Mackenzie in Pennsylvania. So when I reached out to her, I was at a point where, well, to you, her, whatever. I was at a point where it was like I went through this period where I went to the gym like twice a day and I was super obsessed, which that's not a bad thing. I just was at a point in my life where I truly didn't have time to make that like my entire life anymore. So I reached out to you when I felt so overwhelmed with like everything that I was trying. It just wasn't, it would work, but then I would like gain weight again afterwards. So I just needed something like I was watching your stories of the other girls and I'm like, I just need something that I can really do in the long term and something that kind of makes sense for where I'm at in life now, which is not being able to go to the gym 2 to 3 times a day.
Right. Yeah. So a lot of the times, definitely when we're on this health journey and to have this healthy lifestyle, it can be really consuming because you know that something has to change. You've gotten to a point where it's not working. I can't do this long term, and you want to be that all or nothing. So that's kind of where you were at, and you were able to see firsthand that the cycle that you were stuck in, it just was not working for you.
Exactly. And that is exactly how I felt. I felt like if I couldn't put everything into it, then I would just put nothing into it. So I was just kind of stuck in limbo.
Yeah, and that happens so often, and it happened to me personally, and that's why I can relate to so many different women, is because we want to be perfect. And if we fall off or we're not doing the thing that we should be doing, it's like, well, I'm going to go to the extreme. It's one extreme or the other. So you're either eating 100% perfect or, well, I already messed today up, so I'm just going to eat whatever I want.
Right. And then it's, well, I already messed the week up because I messed Monday up. So then it turns into a week and a month and then it's all over.
That is so relatable. So you're not alone. So, what, in terms of things that you've tried in the past, what are some of the things that you've tried to do in the past?
Oh my gosh. Seriously, everything from like magic pills to like diuretic water pills. I've tried different forms of shakes. And I'm not discounting any of these things. It's just for me, that's not a lifestyle that I can live. Like the shakes, when I tried those, I love food. So it was like I would have the shakes, but then also food on top of that. So it was like actually I was eating more than than I should when I was supposed to be actually replacing meals because for me they just aren't like I don't feel like I'm eating. So yeah, I tried that. I tried even like caffeine pills to stimulate, you know, or suppress the appetite and like stimulate your metabolism. Um, just all these short-term fixes that I look back now and I laugh at myself because it's silly, and the amount of money I spent on it is insane. But yeah, it's just they wouldn't last in the long term, and I might have lost like 5 pounds here and there, but then I would gain 10 pounds as soon as I stopped.
Yeah,
So it
I
was
love that you brought in that money aspect of it because there is a lot of money when you're trying to live this healthy lifestyle because everyone is saying something different. Everyone has something that works or that they're selling and they want you in
Mhm.
on it and you want to be a part of it. And to an extent, you might see that it works. So of course you're going to want to jump in and try that. But as you've seen firsthand, they don't work in the grand scheme of things. In the long term, they just don't work.
No, they don't. I mean, maybe for like a handful of people, they could work if that's something that they can do in the long term, but for me, definitely not. I need something more realistic, which is why I really fell in love with your program just because it was like, so I can still, like I mentioned, I ate like a Reese's peanut butter egg the other day. And if that had been me before, I would have been like, oh no, like I messed up all month, which means I messed up all year, so I'm just not even gonna try.
Yeah.
But now it's like I don't have to feel sorry about that because I know that I'm allowed to indulge in those things.
Yeah, and so when you are actually able, you're allowing yourself to eat these foods, you
Hmm.
understand that it's there whenever you want it. There's no end period. Like, well, I bought this bag of Reese's peanut butter cups or whatever the case is. I need to eat them all right now.
Hmm.
Instead, you can be like, you know what? I would love to have one right now, so I'm gonna eat one, and maybe I can have one tomorrow. So in the long term, you're getting
Exactly.
that pleasure for much longer and you're not feeling sick or bad about yourself.
No, not at all.
It's awesome. So tell us about your work and how much you have on your plate.
So I'm working as a nurse now as an LPN, and I'm continuing the RN portion of school. So I've been in nursing school now for 2 years, and I've been doing my prereqs to get into nursing school for 4 years. So it was really when I had to jump into the nursing program itself. That's kind of when my health took a back seat. So I put nursing school first, of course. I mean, that's my career. So I'm still at a really busy point, but now I use some of the tools that you gave me. Like I actually have a journal that I schedule in what I'm doing so that I can look ahead and say, okay, I already said that I'm going to the gym 4 times this week between 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. So that's what I'm doing. That's that. Nothing will change that. And then I can schedule anything around that, whether it's I pick up a shift at work or study for an exam. Just to have that all laid out on a schedule like that is super helpful.
How would you say that taking that time for yourself and making those things a non-negotiable, how has putting your health as a priority, how has that changed your life?
In every way. The biggest thing for me though was mentally because I have anxiety and I struggle with that a lot and it's really just helped me with that. I mean, obviously the physical changes, those were nice too, but like the big thing for me was the mental change that I can wake up and not feel like so overwhelmed with what's happening in my day because it's all laid out right in front of me. Like I know exactly what I'm doing, what to expect, and that's super helpful for me.
So with that, correct me if I'm wrong, but you kind of probably came into this hoping for physical changes.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Because initially that's what it was all about was like, well, if I look a certain way, then I will feel a certain way. But it's not that because like when I said that I was able to go to the gym 2 or 3 times a day and I lost all this weight and I was in super great shape. I'm I was happy, but I'm in a happier place now, even though my body doesn't look like I'm in the gym 3 times a day, 7 days a week. So I'm just happier because I can actually enjoy things instead of just making that my life. Because for me, that's not realistic. For the people that it is, that's awesome. You go, sister, but not for me.
Yeah, because like you said, you have nursing school that you're going through. That is so much work. You have a relationship, you have a fiance, you have two dogs.
Mhm.
You have these people that need you and rely on you. And at the end of the day, like, yeah, you might want to appear healthy, ripped, toned, strong, all of these things, but at the end of the day, if you look all of the people don't love you for those qualities.
Exactly.
You need that sanity in your life. So maybe spending all that time at the gym, it worked for you at one point, but now you're realizing that life is about more things than your appearance.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I'm just at a different point in my life. Like I wasn't in a relationship at that point. I wasn't in nursing school. So I could dedicate my life to that. But I mean, when I look back, it was kind of an unhealthy practice for me because I obsessed. I wouldn't go out for drinks with my friends. I wouldn't even go out to eat. Or if I did, I would sit there and watch everybody else eat because I was so worried, like I might lose an ab if I eat that. So now I feel like I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, and again, I've been in that same situation because when you are so laser focused on having this physique goal because you think it's the when game. Like when I'm this, I'll be happy. I'll have the life that I've always wanted to have. Like, but that's when we're living from the outside in. And through my coaching, I really focus on living from the inside out.
And I think that's so important because even when I did look super toned and whatever else I was reaching for, I still would look at pictures and nitpick. No matter what I looked like, no matter what I did, I would still like it was never good enough, and I don't think it ever would have been good enough. Whereas now I see I'm not so much focused on the end goal as I am on the journey itself.
That's a beautiful place to be because if you don't enjoy the time now, if you don't enjoy the process, you are always going to be looking for that next big thing. And kind of what you said is when you are so laser focused on this one thing, you are always going to look at what's wrong.
Hmm. Yeah, it
So
was so easy.
even if you're spending 3 times a day at the gym and you're benefiting from that, you're going to be looking at that one thing as like, well, that's not good enough. It should be better. What's wrong with me?
Exactly. Yeah, so now I just really like that I can still have a life. I still succeed in school. I started a new job. I'm doing fine with that, and I'm still able to stay on track and not feel like, it's the end of the world if I don't go to the gym every day of the week, or if I don't eat healthy every meal every day. Like I'm okay with that. I found a nice balance.
I know you briefly spoke on your goals. What has the coaching done in terms of your follow through?
Um, so like as far as actually setting a goal and then reaching it, is that what you mean?
Mhm.
So that really helped me, especially having to be held accountable by you, like because I know I checked in with you every Saturday. So it was kind of like not a game, but kind of like I was like, oh, I really have to do this because I have to check in with somebody, so I can't just lie to myself. Like, so I actually have to do it. So now that I don't have you to check in with, I just check in with myself on my planner. So I'll set up just like a little thing on the side that I'll say just little goals like, okay, I'm gonna drink 3 bottles of water today that I filled up the night before, or something like that. And I'll say I'm gonna do this either every day this week or 5 days this week, whatever actually works for my schedule. So then when I can cross that off, that's like my check-in.
Yes. That is amazing because at the end of the day, like you said, like you can lie to yourself. You
Oh
can
yeah.
lie to yourself, make excuses, make reasons why you didn't do something. But when you have that accountability and someone waiting on you and not necessarily like saying you're bad if you don't, but you just have to be aware of yourself and your own tendencies and be
Oh
like,
yeah.
I want change, so something has to change.
Mhm. Yeah, it really helped me to put it in writing and just see on paper what I wasn't doing because it was really easy to just look back in the week and say, "Oh yeah, I met that goal of drinking that water every day," when in reality I maybe met it like once or twice. But if I was actually keeping track of it on paper or with you through your check-ins, then I was actually doing those things.
Yeah. I also noticed how you were giving specific increments in quantity. Tell us about that.
So that's super important too, which is what I learned through goal setting with you. Because I don't remember exactly what my first goal with you was, but I think it was like I would run 7 days a week or something crazy. Like I was like, I'm gonna go all in. So to set something that is realistic and measurable, that's super important for actually reaching a goal. One, it doesn't feel so overwhelming. And two, it's a way to just keep track of what you're doing and if you want to move that goal up or if you need to slide it back a little bit. Just something so that way, like how I said I was going to run 7 days a week at the beginning. I can't stand running, so that was super unrealistic for me. And if I didn't, like you said, if I hadn't met that goal, then I would have felt defeated and I would have gone backwards because I would have been like, well, I can do this, I give up.
And that definitely just goes to say how important setting realistic goals are because, like you said, if you are trying to run 7 days a week and you're running no days a week, how realistic is that going to be? Because maybe a day something comes up and you can't run. Like that's going to set you back and not make you feel good about yourself. But if you say, I'm going to take 3 days this week and run, you're more
Mhm.
likely to achieve that. So then that momentum is just going to keep building.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was, and then it was like I also had a day off to look forward to. So it wasn't like I felt like, oh, this is a job. It's part of my life. So not running though. I still don't run.
Yeah, and that's another thing we can dive into is your activity throughout our coaching together, especially you can start from where you were, what you did in the first couple of weeks, and then maybe what happened around like week 4.
Is that when I started going back to the gym? I thought so. Yeah, so I was doing just videos at home, which I still have some weights. I can still do them at home. Just because I felt uncomfortable. Like I was embarrassed to go back into the gym that I was at because of how much weight I had gained since the last time I was there. So I was like, there's no way I'm ever going back there until I look like this. But after I started doing some workouts at home, um, I started to feel a lot better. And I was like, the physical changes were happening, the mental changes were happening. So I reached back out to that same gym that I was going to. It's like a small studio style, like family style gym. So I showed back up one day and now I go 3 to 4 times a week. And I mean, it just feels really good to be back in that environment around those people that I can't believe I was embarrassed to go back to them anyway. But that's the point that I was at. So,
That's how much our mind can play tricks on us because oftentimes the dialogue that's going on in our own mind is so bad and it's things that we would never say to our family or friends. So we're
exactly.
saying like, why do you look like this? Why can't you achieve this? Like, what are you thinking? This dialogue can happen every single day, and those are things you would never ever say to your closest friends.
No, and I think it happens when you don't even realize that it's happening until you train your brain to really like just stop talking like that to yourself because it's so easy to walk by the mirror and be like, "Oh man, my butt looks saggy today." Like, or just any of those things that go through a woman's mind when they walk by a mirror or comparing ourselves to people on Instagram and Facebook. Like that's huge and it's so easy to do. So now, if I'm scrolling and I see somebody that has like a physique that I'm like, oh man, they look great. Now I'm just like, you go girl. Like that's awesome. I could do that if I wanted to. If I wanted to set my goals that way, then sure, I can do that. But for me, I'm where I want to be right now. So
Yes, I love that, and that's what something I teach heavily in my course now, Body Balance Revolution, is that comparison trap and getting caught up in that, and especially not only in person, but also on social media, because it is so easy to be caught up in scrolling all day. You're surrounding yourself with that, and if that makes you feel less than, it might be time to evaluate things, your life, and who you're following, because you shouldn't be following anyone who makes you feel less than.
exactly. Yeah.
Another
No.
thing I'd like to touch on as well is you're able to see it because you've been there. These people who look great, have these wonderful physiques that you might admire, you understand now what they are giving up and sacrificing in order to achieve that.
Exactly. Which, like I said, if that fits into their lifestyle and that's what makes them feel good, then I'm not discounting that at all. But yeah, for me, that's just not a realistic lifestyle at this point. I feel like I've grown up a little bit in that sense where it's like, okay, I put more focus on my relationship. Like we're planning a wedding and, I just, those things are more important to me now than looking super ripped or whatever else I was trying to do at that point.
Right, right. So, what would you say is something that you've learned? Because you've talked about how you now enjoy the process. What is something that you've learned about this process or throughout this process that you might not have realized otherwise?
The biggest thing for me, which is funny because I still write it down in my journal, is just to keep going. Like I just put it in big capital letters, and that's really what I took away from the program, the biggest thing that I took away. Because, like I said before, if I missed a day at the gym or I ate really bad, then I would just stop for that entire week, which would turn into the month. And then eventually 3 months have gone by, and, I've gained 10 pounds back. And it's just, it's super important just to keep going and know that if you just trust the process, things will change. And I know when I sent you pictures every week, it was changes I didn't even realize that were happening until I really put the pictures side by side, or even the measurements, they helped a lot. Because I was like, I see myself every day. So it's hard for me to say, like, oh, I've lost an inch around my thigh or something like that. But when I actually had to check in with you and I got to see that, it was really a big, big eye opener to say, like, okay, this is working because every day I'm consistently doing something that puts me closer to my goal.
Yeah, and I say this a lot, but it all goes back to when you have a conversation with an old friend that you haven't seen in a while, and you have that conversation of, hey, what's up? What's new? Well, a lot of the times people are going to say, nothing, nothing's
Same
new.
old.
Yeah. So it's the same thing because you are constantly looking at yourself every single day. So you're not going to see that change. But also, I noticed you said it in your check-ins throughout this journey, other people were able to realize that something was changing.
Oh, yeah. Well, especially, well, my now fiance, we weren't engaged during that program. I think that had a lot to do with it because I was just so much happier. Like the timing, maybe it was just a coincidence, but I was like, wait a minute,
I'm going to
because he
start
was
using I'm going to start using that. Do you want to be engaged? Well,
right. Be happy.
yeah.
Yeah, but it was like he really noticed. He's like, I just feel like you're a lot happier, you're more comfortable because before it was like if we would want to go out or something, I'm always looking at myself like, oh, I don't want to go out. Like I look like this or that. And so I think it made a big difference for him to see my confidence go up, which you wouldn't really think would matter, but I mean, it does. He wants me to feel good about myself just as much as I want to feel good about myself. So things really, really changed for us. Yeah. And then he proposed.
Awesome. So the fact that you were able to work on yourself and go through this personal growth journey and this healthy lifestyle transformation, you were able to lean inward and focus on yourself, and that was able to improve all sorts of relationships in your life.
Oh yeah, and it improved my career. It improved my. Oh, sorry, Facebook is yelling at me for being on it for too long today.
I just had that notification.
So yeah, like I said, it improved my career. It made me feel more confident about school. So now, yeah, I guess just literally everything, friendships, relationships, my relationship with myself, which is something you don't realize how important that is until you have a really good one with yourself. Then it's super important because yeah, like I said, I battled with anxiety, which I still do. I mean, of course, that won't go away, but I definitely have methods of dealing with that now, and that aren't like, hiding in a room or something.
Yes, that's not good. That's not healthy. Yeah, so also I wrote something down. Your skin improved.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was dealing with a lot of, I mean, I guess it's technically called like adult acne, which I thought was, I was just doomed forever or something. And I still do have an occasional breakout. I mean, that's fine, especially around like my period or something. But yeah, it was like my complexion, like I felt like I had more of a glow or something. It was like I don't know if it was just like a radiant, happy kind of thing or what it was, but and not just my face either. Like I had a lot of eczema like on my thighs and on the backs of my arms, and I've noticed that that continues to improve also. So that was a big win for me because that was just one of those things I was like, oh well, I have to live with it, like it's genetics. But I think truly it had a lot to do with my decreased activity, my constant bad diet, and
Yeah, so just making a small changes with your diet and the foods that you were eating, you were able to see more, you were able to see like the complete transformation. Like your skin
oh
tells all. Your skin is a direct factor of what's happening inside of you. Same thing with your hair and nails. You've
yeah.
seen it in your work, your relationship, yourself. Like you have seen the full circle.
Oh yeah, and I did notice too, which I didn't mention. I don't know if I mentioned it to you in my check-ins, but my hair started growing better again too. I remember saying, like, oh, it must just be like a thing with age. My hair doesn't want to grow past a certain point. But like now it's just, I mean, it's growing again, and I'm back to where I wanted it to be in the first place.
And I love that you say that because that's what a lot of people fall into the trap of is, oh, well, I'm getting older. This is how it is. This is life. I'm just gonna have to deal with it instead of, owning it, taking control and actually working to fix it because our bodies want to perform optimally. And all of these things are signs that something might not be working for you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I like that you said owning it because that was a big part of it for me too, was just admitting to myself like, okay, you let yourself get here. Like it wasn't anybody else that did that to me. I did that to myself. So I think, and I try to stress that to a lot of other people that ask how I did what I did or how I turned my life around. And I'm like, well, once you really realize what you're doing to set yourself backwards or to stay in the same spot, that's when you can really start implementing those changes that will get you to where you want to be or on your way there at least.
It's easy to fall into that trap of being comfortable. You just get
Oh, yeah.
stuck and change is hard. Change is uncomfortable. You don't want to feel that, and especially when it's your own fault. You want to
Yeah.
put that you want to put that fault on someone else. So when it's yourself, that of course you don't want to do anything about it.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Like for me, it was kind of like, poor me. I put all this weight on because I went to nursing school and I'm trying to better my life. So I just had to shift that perspective a little bit. Like, okay, I really can do both here. I mean, I can squeeze a half hour of activity into my day or an hour on the weekends when I'm not in school all day or something. I mean, it was just really kind of putting that into a different perspective. Like, oh, okay, instead of watching Grey's Anatomy for an hour and a half, I could have went outside and gone for a walk or just any little thing. They all add up.
Yep.
They all make a huge difference.
And so, just while on this call so far, both of us had our Facebook notifications come up. That is something that everyone can do. Everyone watching right now, you can go on your phone on the Facebook app and you can set up a timer of how long you're actually spending on social media. You have no idea how long you're spending every single day that you could be working towards your goals.
It's embarrassing, like the amount of time, and it's so easy to do. I mean, we just mindlessly scroll. So it really helps me to have that reminder because I'm like, oh my gosh, I've scrolled through probably every single person that I'm friends with by now, and I'm probably back in their photos to like 2002, just
I
because
don't
I
want
sat
to age you right now, but it's 2019, so that was 17 years ago. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
embarrassing.
I know. We were just talking about being old, but
Oh, yeah. Oh gosh, that doesn't seem like that long ago. Okay, maybe like 2010 then.
okay. So I know we are cruising through this. It's been a half an hour already, and I don't want to keep you. I know that you're busy, and we do have some people that are still listening. My last question would just be that if anyone is considering coaching or unsure if they want to ever get coached, what would you tell them?
Oh my gosh, I would absolutely tell them to do it. I'll be honest, at first I was like, The idea sounds, it's almost like you feel embarrassed, like that you need a coach. At least for me, that's how I felt. So it was hard for me to really admit that to myself and to others. But it didn't take long after we started going to say like, hey, we have a hairdresser to do our hair. We have a nail tech do our nails. I mean, there's somebody that we have do these things for us. So why is it not okay in our brains to have somebody to help us with our journey and our goals for ourselves? And I know that a lot of people have an issue with spending money on something like that. But if you really think about, like I said, all the money that I spend on supplements and shakes and even like weird little exercise workout things that I would bring home, like that I would never use, they ended up being a coat rack or something. Then if you put all of that together, I mean, it really is a wash. Like, I mean, honestly, I've saved money through doing life coaching, just because I'm not going crazy spending $100 on a shake program or whatever else I decided to do.
And I don't know the response to this question, but have you spent money on any of that since we had worked
No,
together?
no, the only supplement that I do is protein shakes. But I just use that like for after the gym or something. And that's just, I'm a vegetarian, so really that's just to keep my protein up to a point that is acceptable for me. But no, other than that, yeah, I'm not using any weight loss pills or, I mean, anything. I take my vitamins like I always have, and that's about it.
And you actually sent me an updated photo like a month ago, and you are continuously still seeing progress, and that's just
Yeah,
you.
yeah, which that feels awesome too. I've been pretty much at the same point for probably the last month or so as far as weight goes. I kind of hang around the same weight, but definitely my clothes fit differently. During the program, I went down 2 pant sizes. That was super awesome. I had to buy all new pants. Darn. So, I mean, that was just a good measure for me to kind of look back and say, oh my gosh, I was a size 8 and now I can wear a size 6 or a size 4. Like, that's just a feel good kind of a win, a small win or big win.
Yeah, of course. And like you said, throughout the journey, you were questioning whether this was working every day. You don't see that change, but at the end of things, when you look at the big picture, you were able to drop those pant sizes. You saw that reflection of your mindset and that positive set that you had changed. You've seen
Oh,
that
yeah.
tenfold.
Yeah, and then another big thing that I just wanted to hit on was the mental part of it. So I take anxiety medicine and I have for years, every single day. And I've noticed since I started the program and then just continuing on with this different lifestyle, I forget to take it all the time. And it used to be the first thing I thought about was like, oh my gosh, I have to wake up and take my Prozac or whatever I was switched to that month or whatever. And so now I'll go a couple of days without even realizing that I didn't take it, but I still feel okay, which says to me that, okay, it's probably time that I can really stop taking these altogether. I think I'm at a point where I've balanced out my own chemicals in my brain. I don't need the pill to do it for me.
Uh, that was like the best thing for me to hear. Like this whole journey of yours has been inspirational to so many people, but as a coach, like that is my goal. I've seen it firsthand with medication and it just not working out as good as it could be and actually like
Yeah.
setting you back. So to hear that you're able to, forget about something that you relied on as a crutch and you were able
Oh,
to do
yeah.
that yourself.
Yeah, it's huge. So yeah, like I said, I'm to that point where I'm like positive I could get rid of it altogether. I mean, if I can forget about it for a few days at a time, then that's pretty much the end of what I needed that for, I think.
Yes. Well, all right. I will not keep you any longer, but I appreciate you so much for joining me, and you
Thanks for
are
having
doing
me.
amazing. You literally did a complete 180. You've seen the other side, and I just want to honor you for continuing going and knowing that everything you need is already inside of you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for having me too. And
Of
I'll see
course.
you.
Yes, Friday, 6 days.
Yeah, last week. Oh, geez.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's it. I think you can hit the X in the upper corner, I think, to leave.
Okay, I'll try it. Bye.
Bye. So everyone else that is watching, thank you so much for tuning in. I know that we covered a whole bunch of different aspects of my coaching, what I offer, and how I'm able to help women. Please reach out to me because Body Balance Revolution starts back up in May and it's already 30% full. I do have calls next week and the week following, so if this is something that you're interested in, please get a hold of me because I touch on everything: nutrition, emotional eating, goal setting. I help you set up processes so you can actually achieve your goals. We go through the mindset, the self-care, self-confidence. I work on giving you back your control so you can actually live the lifestyle that you want to live. Everything that you need is already inside of you, and I want that for you. So please, 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 the time is now. Stop waiting, stop spinning your wheels, stop grasping for things that will only give you short-term benefits. It's time to play the long game. Okay. Thank you again so much for chiming in, to listening, to being with me here on Saturday morning. It truly means the world to me. Getting in my feels now. Thank you so much. Have a great Saturday.